How you doing, guys? If you've been watching my videos long enough, you've probably noticed a bunch of random animals running around this place when I've made videos. I personally have Mongo, Defender of the Homestead, and I actually have 3 chickens as well, which I know I've shown you guys. But also my girlfriend has a little wussy dog of her own and 2 cats. This place is crawling with annoying animals, and someone sent me a message not too long ago, or posted a comment on one of the videos, asking if I would do a video about what to do about pets for preparations for either economic collapse or shit hit the fan or any sort of prepping, what you would do about your animals. And I guess I never really thought about it because to me it seemed relatively straightforward, but it is something you definitely need to consider because it could cause a lot of problems for you if you don't prepare for them, especially if you care about your pets like most people do. So this video is going to be about what to do for your animals to prepare like you're preparing for yourself. And at the risk of being obtuse, you prepare for them exactly like you prepare for yourself. Meaning, and like I've said in a lot of my old videos, you have to be ready to support them in the absence of whatever systems of support they're currently relying on. Directly, that system of support is you, but what are you having to do to provide for them? Usually it's just food, water, and maybe a couple little items, couple medicine, different types of medicine, stuff like that. So go through, what I would recommend is go through a normal, probably a month is long enough to encapsulate all the normal things that you would use for your animal. But if you need to do it longer, go ahead. And anytime you use anything for that animal, whether it's food, write it down. If it's, oh, I used a leash, write that down. If I put some flea medicine on them, write that down. If I had to give them some kind of vitamin or tooth thing, write that down. If I brushed them, write that down. Anytime you use anything related to that pet. If you're going out there and you fill up the chicken water dish, say, okay, I got a water dish, I need water. I've got bedding for the chickens, write that down. Did this, did that. Any animal you have, go ahead and do that. And after a month, you should get a pretty good idea of all the things that you're using to take care of whatever that animal is, or all your animals. And then from there, you can go and find out how likely is it that I am going to be able to provide these things without being able to go to the store. So something like a leash, having a little bit extra rope around, or maybe an extra leash or even a belt. Obviously, that's not something that you really have to worry about that much. Lots of things could be field expedient leashes if you needed that, or different ways of tying them up, so I wouldn't worry too much about that. Something like a collar is maybe a little bit more difficult to just make something out of, but not much. You could use a belt. Maybe having 1 or 2 extra collars lying around isn't that big of a deal. In most situations, something like a collar is going to last for a long time without needing a new one, so that's not a big deal. Moving on to stuff like medicine. Okay, you're looking at the flea medicine, stuff like that. Is there something that you can stockpile? Is the flea medication going to last a while? Doesn't normally last that long. Maybe you can look at something like diatomaceous earth or other chemicals that'll last a lot longer that you can store to start using for flea medication in the absence of being able to go to the PetSmart and getting Frontline or whatever it is at your advantage or whatever it is that you're using. So you have to look at that. Then you move on obviously to food and water. Now hopefully you should have a pretty good food and water system set up for you, and you should just sort of mimic that for the pet. Obviously water, if you have water for yourself, you could just use a little bit more of that for the animals. Just make sure you factor that into your calculations. If you're saying I need a gallon of water a day, make sure you're including whatever animals are also going to be drinking out of that water. If you have outside animals, maybe they can drink rainwater and stuff like that. You just got to be careful of any health concerns related to that. Make sure you have a way to at least filter some of that water for debris and stuff like that. Make sure mosquito larvae don't get in it, all that good stuff. So basically everything you would already do with water. For food, look at what they're eating. If they're eating dried food or canned food, that's pretty easy to stockpile however much you need. That stuff will last a long time. If you have 6 months of food for yourself, it would be kind of stupid to have less than 6 months of food for your pets. Wouldn't make much sense to have more than 6 months of food for them either, but you want to match it up to whatever you have for yourself. And if you're feeding them something like fresh food, if you have a totally raw diet for your dog or something like that, obviously it's going to be a lot harder. You may still just want to stockpile some dry food or canned food. Even if that's not what you normally give them, then you can it stores a lot better. So in an emergency, you could switch to that. May upset their stomach for a day or 2, but it's better than not having anything because it's really difficult to store a lot of fresh food depending on what it is. And then you can just work in that food really slowly into their normal diet to cycle it out. So maybe 1 thing of canned food a week if you feed them raw food. Then for outdoor animals like chickens or farm animals, same thing applies. You can stockpile whatever food you normally give them if it's dry and non-perishable type food, seal it in buckets, whatever, if it's grains. And if it's something beyond that, maybe you could, if you have property, you could sow certain things in the fields that you could use as grazing area or free range area if it comes down to it, if you're not doing that already. Sorry about that, the camera cut off on me, technology. Anyways, just to summarize this video, you will prepare for your pets and any animals the same way you prepare for yourself. Identify any systems of support that you're relying on. Find out if you can either A, do without those systems of support, or B, provide for those things without utilizing those systems of support. So that's food, water, medicines, any accessories or tools. Look at all the things you're using and find out what you need to stockpile, what you need to stop using or replace, and what you can do without. And appreciate you guys watching. Put any comments or questions below the video, and I'll talk to you guys later.